They call it a Class 5 biological hazard. I call it a first date. You see, in the vast, sterile, and terrifyingly polite expanse of the Galactic Federation, humanity has a reputation. We aren't known for our art or our philosophy or even our warp drives. We are known for our dirt, our bacteria, our adrenaline. To the rest of the galaxy, a human being is basically a walking, talking natural disaster wrapped in skin that leaks terrifying fluids. But nobody told me that when I signed up for the Deep Space Exploration program. Nobody told me that the simple act of falling in love, and trying to seal that love with a kiss, would trigger a planetary defense grid and nearly get me incinerated by a council of glowing space elves. If you think your dating life is complicated, try explaining to a xenobiologist why you want to press your food intake orifice against hers without causing an interspecies diplomatic incident. This is the story of how I, Jax Riker, accidentally terrified the most beautiful girl in the galaxy just by trying to be romantic. Before we dive into the logs of this catastrophic romance, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're uploading new stories from the frontier every week, and you don't want to miss the next report. Now let's open the file on the Etheria incident. The day my life changed forever started with a red light. A blinking, angry, crimson light on the dashboard of the X-7 Pathfinder. I was 3,000 light-years from Earth, testing a new slipstream engine that was supposed to revolutionize travel. Instead, it revolutionized the concept of crashing violently. The vibration started in my teeth. Then it moved to my spine. Then the entire ship screamed like a banshee and dropped out of warp. I didn't have time to pray, I just had time to grab the manual ejection lever and yank it with enough force to dislocate a shoulder. The pod fired. The ship turned into a firework behind me, and I was falling. Through the viewport I saw the planet. It wasn't the blue and green marble of Earth. It was purple. Bioluminescent, glowing, neon purple. It looked like someone had spilled a galaxy onto a sphere. Clouds of shimmering silver vapor swirled around massive, floating landmasses. It was beautiful. It was also coming at me way too fast. Brace for impact, the computer stated in that calm, annoying voice they all have. Calculated survival odds, less than optimal. Thanks, Hal, I grunted, gritting my teeth. The impact didn't feel like a crash. It felt like being punched by God. The pod smashed through a canopy of crystalline trees, shattering them like glass. Shards of alien timber rained down, scratching the hull. I bounced once, twice, and then skidded through a field of glowing blue moss, digging a trench 100 yards long before slamming into a rock face. Silence. I checked my limbs. Arms attached? Check. Legs working? Check. I tasted blood, bit my tongue, but otherwise the high-gravity training had paid off. I popped the seal on the hatch. It was jammed. Of course it was jammed. Standard procedure, I muttered. I braced my back against the pilot's seat and kicked the door with both feet. On Earth, that kick would have maybe dented the metal. On this planet? The door flew off its hinges. It soared 30 feet into the air, spinning like a frisbee, and embedded itself halfway into a tree trunk across the clearing. I froze. Okay, I whispered. Low gravity. Note to self, do not jump or you will achieve orbit. I stepped out. The air was thin but breathable, smelling like ozone and mint. I took a deep breath and my lungs burned slightly. Too much oxygen maybe? Or just different isotopes. But I was alive. I looked around. The forest was like a fever dream. The plants weren't made of wood and leaf. They looked like fiber optic cables and spun glass. Everything pulsed with a soft, rhythmic light. And it was quiet. Too quiet. Then I saw her. She was standing behind a veil of glowing ferns, staring at me. She wasn't human, obviously. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, but impossibly slender. Her skin was a pale, iridescent lilac that seemed to shift colors as she moved. Her hair wasn't hair, it was strands of flowing white light that drifted in the air as if she were underwater. And her eyes? They were solid pools of gold, wide with absolute terror. I did what any trained first contact specialist would do. I raised my hands, palms open, and smiled. Hi, I said. I come in peace. Also, sorry about your tree. She didn't speak. She looked at the heavy steel door embedded in the trunk. Then she looked at my legs. Then she looked back at the door. She let out a sound that was half chirp, half gasp, and tapped a device on her wrist. A bubble of energy sprang up around her. A shield. Whoa, easy, I said, taking a step forward. My boot crunched on the crystal moss, snapping it loudly. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silent forest. She flinched. Stay back, she shouted. Her voice was melodic, like a flute, but the translator in my ear caught the fear. You are dense. You are heavy. I'm actually down a few pounds, I joked, trying to defuse the tension. Cafeteria food in space isn't great. She pointed a trembling finger at me. You fell from the sky. You shattered the singing grove. You kicked a hull plate through a ironwood trunk. What are you? I'm Jax, I said. Human. Third rock from the sun. Look, I'm not going to hurt you. I just need a radio. She tapped her wrist again. Central? This is Vespera. I have an anomaly in Sector 7. It is biological. It is kinetic. It is leaking heat. Leaking heat. I checked my suit. No, that's just body temperature. I run at 98.6 degrees. Vespera's eyes went even wider. 98? You are a furnace. You are burning from the inside. She backed away, her shield shimmering. Do not approach, Entity Jax. Containment drones are en route. If you attempt to use your kinetic limbs to breach my field, I will be forced to flashbang you. Kinetic limbs? I looked at my arms. Lady, they're just arms. But to her they weren't. To Vespera, a being evolved on a world of light gravity and fragile structures, I was a tank made of meat. I was a dense, heavy, hot-burning monster that had just fallen out of the sky and smashed her garden. And the way she was looking at me, with a mix of horror and morbid curiosity, told me this wasn't going to be a simple diplomatic handshake. The containment drones turned out to be floating silver spheres that shot nets made of laser light. I didn't fight them. I figured getting arrested was better than starving in the woods. They transported me to a facility that looked like a cathedral made of ice and light. No doors, just force fields. No chairs, just floating discs. They put me in a quarantine cell. The walls were transparent energy barriers. And on the other side, Vespera was watching me. She wasn't alone anymore. A team of scientists, all tall, slender, and glowing, were studying the readouts on their holographic screens. They looked like they were watching a horror movie. Look at his bone density, one of them whispered. It is calcified stone. He is built to withstand crushing atmospheres. And the bacteria, another shuddered. He is a colony. There are trillions of microorganisms living on him. In him. Vespera stepped closer to the barrier. She seemed braver now that there was a force field between us. Entity Jax, she said. We have analyzed your biology. You are a paradox. You are constantly dying, yet constantly regenerating. Your cells burn energy at a rate that should incinerate you. We call it metabolism, I said. I was sitting on the floor because their furniture looked too fragile to hold me. Hey, do you guys have any food? I'm starving. Vespera tapped a command. A slot opened and a tray slid in. On it was a bowl of glowing blue gel. Nutrient paste, she said. Pre-digested for maximum efficiency. I took a sniff. It smelled like batteries. Do you have anything solid? Maybe a fruit? Some protein. Solid. Vespera frowned. You wish to perform mechanical mastication? You want to crush matter with your exposed skeletal ridges. My teeth? Yeah. That's how we eat. The scientists gasped. I wasn't kidding. They literally gasped. Show us, Vespera whispered, her curiosity overriding her fear. I had a ration bar in my pocket, standard issue military chocolate, hard as a brick. I pulled it out, unwrapped it and took a bite. Crunch. The sound of me chewing was amplified by the room's acoustics. Vespera watched my jaw muscles work. She watched my throat swallow. She looked mesmerized. He dissolves it, she murmured into her recorder. He has a vat of hydrochloric acid inside his central cavity. He is a biological incinerator. It's just chocolate, I said, swallowing. Want some? No, she recoiled. It is contaminated with your biome. Over the next few days, a routine emerged. I was the zoo animal, Vespera was the keeper. But we started talking. I told her about Earth, about thunderstorms, oceans, and football. She told me about her world, Silvaris. It was a peaceful planet. No predators. No wars. Just art, light, and the harmony. Vespera was fascinated by the concept of death worlds. So, she asked one evening, sitting safely on her side of the glass. On Earth, everything tries to kill you? The weather? The animals? Even the air oxidizes your cells? Pretty much, I said. That's why we're tough. We have to be. She looked me up and down. It is strangely compelling. You are so solid. So permanent. My people, we are fleeting. We drift. But you are like a mountain that walks. There was a look in her eyes then. It wasn't fear anymore. It was something else. A flush of color, a deep pink, rippled through her bioluminescent skin. Is that a blush? I asked, grinning. It is a thermal regulation flux, she insisted quickly, turning away. Caused by intellectual stimulation. Ah, sure. Tell me, Jax, she asked, turning back, her voice lower. How do humans bond? On Sylvaris we merge our energy fields. It is a harmonious blending of light. Very safe, very clean. But you have no energy field. You are just meat and electricity. We manage, I said, leaning against the glass. We use words, gifts, touch. She looked at my hand pressed against the barrier. She raised her own slender, glowing hand and placed it opposite mine. The glass hummed between us. Your hand is so large, rough. It looks like it could crush a diamond. It can also be gentle, I said softly. Vespera stared at our hands. I have never touched a Death Worlder. Is it warm? Hot, I corrected. Remember? I'm a furnace. She smiled then. A genuine shy smile. Perhaps, when you are decontaminated, I could try. Try what? To touch, she whispered. To feel the heat. Was a nice moment. A really nice moment. And like all nice moments in a sci-fi adventure, it was immediately ruined by sirens. The alarm wasn't a bell, it was a psychic scream that echoed in my skull. The lights in the facility turned a violent, flashing crimson. Breach, the automated voice announced. Sector 4. The Void Stalkers have entered the perimeter. Vespera's face went pale, literally her light drained away, leaving her gray and trembling. No, she gasped. Not here. Not now. What are Void Stalkers? I stood up, adrenaline dumping into my system. I felt my heart rate spike and I saw Vespera wince at the sudden change in my bioreadings on the wall. Energy predators, she said, her voice shaking. They come from the rifts. They feed on bioluminescence. They eat our light. We have no defense against them. Our weapons pass through them. The wall of the lab exploded. It wasn't a chemical explosion, it was a shatter. The crystalline structure just disintegrated. Through the dust they came. They looked like wolves made of black smoke and lightning. 3 of them. They moved with a glitchy, flickering speed, phasing in and out of reality. They saw the scientists, bright, glowing beacons of food, and shrieked. The Silverians panicked. They ran, but they were slow, graceful runners. The wolves were faster. One of the creatures lunged for a scientist, passing straight through a table to get to him. Vespera opened the door. I yelled. Drop the shield. I can't, she cried, backing away as a stalker turned its eyeless head toward her. It will kill you. They feed on neural energy. Open the damn door, Vespera. I roared. I'm not gonna sit here and watch you get eaten by a smoke dog. Maybe it was the command in my voice or maybe she was just terrified, but she hit the panel. The energy barrier fizzled out. I didn't wait. I launched myself out of the cell. On Earth, I'm an athletic guy. On Sylvaris, in 0.6 gravity, I was a superhero. I crossed the room in a single bound, covering 30 feet in a second. The stalker was mid-lunge, aiming for Vespera. It was made of energy intangible to them. But I remembered my physics. Energy is just matter vibrating at a different frequency. And if you introduce enough dense, kinetic matter into a coherent energy field, you disrupt it. I didn't have a weapon. But I had a heavy industrial-grade metal stool that I'd grabbed from my cell. Hey, Sparky. I yelled. The wolf turned. I swung the stool with everything I had. Wow. The impact didn't sound like metal hitting meat. It sounded like a transformer blowing up. The stool connected with the stalker's head, and the creature shattered. It didn't bleed, it exploded into static and sparks. My density, my sheer physical mass, acted like a grounding rod. I wasn't just hitting it, I was disrupting its existence. The other 2 stalkers stopped. They looked at their fallen pack mate, then at me. I stood there, chest heaving, holding a bent metal stool like a club. I grinned, baring my teeth. That's right, I growled. I'm dense. Come and get some. They screeched and charged. The fight lasted maybe 20 seconds. It was a blur of motion. I dodged a claw that left a trail of frost in the air, pivoted, and threw the stool at one, dissolving it. The last one tried to phase through me. Bad move. My nervous system is a chaotic storm of electrical impulses. When it tried to pass through me, it was like sticking a fork in a socket. It shrieked and evaporated on contact with my biofield. Silence returned to the lab. I stood amidst the sparkling dust of the monsters, panting. My heart was hammering like a drum solo. I turned to Vespra. She was huddled in the corner, staring at me. Her light was pulsing rapidly, blue, purple, pink. Are you okay? I asked, wiping sweat from my forehead. She looked at the remains of the predators. Then she looked at me. You dismantled them. With a chair. Stool, I corrected. But yeah. She stood up slowly. She floated over to me, ignoring the warnings of the other scientists. She stopped inches from my chest. She could feel the heat radiating off me. You are chaos, she whispered, looking up into my eyes. You are violence and heat and noise. And you saved me. That's what humans do, I said, my adrenaline starting to fade into a warm buzz. We protect what we care about. Vespra's eyes searched mine. The pink flush was back, brighter than ever. You care about me? I mean, yeah. You gave me chocolate. Sort of. She laughed. A tiny musical sound. And in that moment, the adrenaline, the relief, and the weird alien chemistry took over. The atmosphere in the room had shifted. The fear was gone, replaced by something heavy and electric. The other scientists were busy checking the perimeter, giving us a wide berth. Vespra reached out and for the first time touched my arm. Her hand was cool, smooth as glass. She flinched at the heat of my skin but didn't pull away. Your heart, she said, looking at my chest. I can hear it. It is like a war drum. It's just pumping blood, I said, my voice dropping an octave. It does that when I'm excited. Excited? Her gold eyes widened. Is this the bonding ritual? The adrenaline? The violence? No, I shook my head. The violence is done. The bonding, that's usually quieter. Show me, she whispered. She stepped closer. I want to try. I want to understand how a death worlder bonds. I want to feel the intensity. Now listen. I'm a guy. I've been alone in space for months. I just fought 3 ghost wolves to save a beautiful alien princess who is currently looking at me like I'm the only star in the sky. My brain was not running on logic. It was running on Hollywood movie scripts. Are you sure? I asked. It's different from what you're used to. I am a scientist, she said firmly, tilting her head up. I'm not afraid of biology. Teach me. Okay, I breathed. Close your eyes. She closed them. Her lashes were long and silver. I leaned in. I placed one hand gently on her waist, she gasped at the grip, and the other on her cheek. I tilted my head. And I kissed her. It wasn't a peck. It was a real kiss. Passionate. Full of relief and adrenaline. For 3 seconds, everything was perfect. And then she screamed. She shoved me backward with surprising strength. She was scrubbing her mouth frantically with the back of her hand, her eyes wide with absolute, unadulterated horror. Her skin was flashing a violent, warning red. Jax, she shrieked. What did you do? I kissed you. I stammered, confused. You said teach you. You placed your oral cavity on mine, she yelled, backing away until she hit the wall. You engaged in suction. There was moisture. Did you just transfer biological agents into my system? Well, yeah, a little bit, but that's fluid exchange, she screamed to the room. He initiated fluid exchange. Code red. Contamination. Get the scrubbers. Wait, what? I held up my hands. It's just a kiss. It's affection. Affection? She looked like she was about to be sick. You tried to digest me? Or impregnate me? Is this how humans reproduce? Do you just vomit DNA into each other's mouths? No. God, no. I yelled, face-palming. It's recreational. It's emotional. It releases oxytocin. It releases germs, she countered, pointing a shaking finger at me. I have a sterile microbiome, Jax. You just introduced 1 million foreign pathogens to my face. I could melt. 2 guards, who had apparently been hiding during the monster attack, suddenly felt brave enough to rush in. They pointed staves at me. Entity Jax, one shouted. You are under arrest for attempted biological assassination of the High Priestess. Oh, come on. I groaned. I saved her life 5 minutes ago. Now I'm an assassin because I used a little tongue? Vesper froze. Tongue? She looked faint. There was a muscle involved? She passed out. Just dropped to the floor like a sack of glowing potatoes. The trial was brief. Mostly because they kept me in a glass box the whole time. The High Council of Silvaris sat on floating podiums, looking down at me with a mix of awe and disgust. The charge was reckless endangerment via mating rituals. I stood there, arms crossed, trying not to look too dangerous. The human claims, the lead counselor intoned, that the kiss is a gesture of love, not war. It is, I said. Look, I didn't know your biology was so touchy. On Earth we swap bacteria all the time. It builds immunity. The counselors shuddered collectively. Then Vespera stepped forward. She looked recovered, though she was wearing a biohazard mask over her mouth. She glided down to my cell. "Hi, Counsel," she said, her voice muffled but strong. "The human is gross. He is a chaotic, leaking, burning furnace of germs." "Thanks," I muttered. "But," she continued, turning to look at me, "he is also the only reason I am alive. His chaos is a weapon, but his heart, his heavy, loud heart, it beats for us. He did not mean to poison me. He meant to bond." She placed her hand on the glass again. "I have analyzed the data," she said. "The kiss caused a spike in his dopamine levels. And, admittedly, once the panic subsided, my own levels rose as well. The heat was pleasant." The council murmured. "I propose a compromise," Vespera said. "The human stays. We need his strength against the stalkers. But strict protocols must be observed. And that is how I became the official guardian of Silvaris. And Vespera's boyfriend. Sort of. We made it work. We couldn't kiss, not without me wearing a sterilized synthetic skin suit which really kills the mood, but we found other ways. She made me a bracelet that links our neural fields. When I wear it, she can feel my emotions without the germs. She feels my love. She feels my protection. And I get to feel what it's like to be made of light. It's been a year. We're happy. I'm teaching the Silverians how to play football with a foam ball so nobody shatters, and Vespera is teaching me how to meditate. I'm bad at it. Sometimes late at night we sit on the balcony overlooking the glowing forest. She leans her head on my shoulder, she wears a patch to protect her skin from my thermal leakage, and we watch the moons rise. "Jax?" she asked me last night. "Yeah, vs? I am glad you crashed here." "Me too. But if you ever try to use your tongue on me again, I will disintegrate you." "Understood," I laughed. "Strictly hands holding. And maybe a fist bump." "Acceptable. And that, my friends, is why you always read the xenobiology manual before you make your move. Love conquers all, but sometimes a high-grade biohazard suit helps." If you enjoyed this tale of interspecies awkwardness and accidental heroism, please like this video and subscribe. Check out our playlist for more humanity in space stories. I promise the next one has fewer lawsuits. What do you think? Would you date an alien if it meant never kissing? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, stay human, and keep your bacteria to yourself.